So, welcome along to number 9 in our series of Pixiecast, and I'm particularly excited and delighted to see the lovely Jo Kirkham over there on my screen, all the way from Liverpool, about 250 miles or 400 kilometres north of where I am in Devon. And Jo, how are you?
I'm all right. I've suddenly got the fear now that you've switched it on.
You've got the
I was all
fear.
right before. Now I've gone all nervous.
Oh, I
Right.
thought everyone's been saying about I calm people down and that I'm easy to talk to. So don't worry. There's, you know the score. You know all the questions that are coming. So,
Yeah.
so I know you're working today as well. So you're busy. So your phone might ring, might it? So
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
an important lady, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell
Dead
us a little bit
important.
about what you do? A mental health nurse up in Liverpool.
Yeah. I'm a mental health nurse, registered mental health nurse. But I'm in a very specific role. So I don't know how much you want me to tell you. Really, it might get a bit boring.
As much as you want us to know. It's
Um.
quite a new post, isn't it? I think, was it a couple of years ago that
Yeah.
you went for
Yeah.
this post, and I remember you saying about it in the group, saying, "I've gone for this post, I won't get it," but and then you did.
Yeah. I really thought I wouldn't. Yeah. So was it? I was. I was a registered nurse. I trained as a registered nurse. Trained in 2000 because I did about 16 billion jobs before I settled down to mental health nursing. And I think
Yeah.
it's the only thing that actually sustained my interest long enough to
Okay.
stick with it. So I've done this for 20 years now. Um, I've been a specialist nurse for quite a few years and a nurse prescriber, and this opportunity came up to be an advanced nurse practitioner, it's called. And I just thought, no way, these jobs are really few and far between, and
Yeah.
kind of you're just really lucky if you get one. And I think maybe a lot of people didn't see the advert because I ended up getting it. But
Oh,
that that involved doing a master's, which has been hellish. But I'm in
yeah.
this new place now, and I absolutely love it. So my job now, it's a bit of a sort of fancy extended title, advanced nurse practitioner for neurodevelopmental CAMS. So what that means is I work with children and young people with autism or ADHD and comorbid mental health difficulties.
Hmm.
So it's a very sort of particular niche.
And I guess particularly at the moment in lockdown and that with COVID and everything, it's particularly critical as well for people because they're having their lifestyles and that sort of curtailed, aren't they, as well?
Yeah.
So for people with existing mental health problems, I'm sure it's really acute for them.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think some weirdly, some of my ASD kids have flourished under lockdown because it's taken away all the social pressures that cause them significant anxiety in
Sure.
school attendance and
Hmm.
having to see other people, and they've been able to be allowed to just be at home and not have to sort of be in those environments where they have to behave a certain way that everybody expects them to, and
Sure.
understand the social rules and everything.
Hmm.
But now is the hard time because schools are reopening, people are expected to go back, and it's created really high levels of anxiety
Yeah.
with a lot of kids who were already very anxious before.
Sure.
So trying to offer as much support as possible really and make sure everybody's okay. We liaise a lot with schools, and I think schools have been brilliant as well. They've had an unbelievable task.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
it's just been awful, this whole COVID situation. It's been awful for everybody in the
Yeah.
NHS.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, I could get into political things about how absolutely appalling this government has been in their pandemic planning and how they've literally thrown my nursing colleagues and other NHS colleagues into the fire at the
Yeah.
beginning without PPE, and it's been
Yeah.
horrific. It's been an abomination.
I've got a friend who works in the probably the same trust, or he works on the Wirral anyway, which I know is where you
Right.
are, and he works at Arrow Park, the main hospital,
Yeah.
and he said exactly the same as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you're not a proper Scouser then, are you?
No.
Although you've got a Scouse accent, that lovely Liverpudlian accent, you're not a Scouser. So do you want to explain to people who might not know the difference?
Yeah. I'm actually dead posh.
We all knew that. We knew that already, Jo.
So I don't live in Liverpool. I live in Merseyside. And I'm
Yeah.
very connected to Liverpool but I live in a place called Wirral, which is a little peninsula. It's like a stick of land that juts out into the sea. So we're surrounded on three sides by coast. We've got we're surrounded by beach.
Yeah.
And there's one side is an estuary where the sea comes in between England and North Wales, so that's the Dee estuary.
Yeah.
And the other side is the Mersey, the
Mhm.
River Mersey, which separates the Wirral from Liverpool. So if you know the Jerry and the Pacemakers song, like Ferry Across the Mersey,
Yeah.
that's if you get the ferry from Liverpool, you come to where I live. So it's about that ferry. And they play that song on the ferry all the time on a
They
loop.
do.
So
I've been on it.
yeah, and it makes you want to jump in, doesn't it? Because it really gets on your nerves.
I mean, I use the word iconic probably too frequently, but it is an iconic song, isn't it, for the city? And
Yeah.
it's really associated with Liverpool in that area as well. So, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
There's a nice cafe at Woodside Ferry, which is the Wirral side of the ferry, the terminal, one of the Wirral terminals.
Yeah.
And I used to meet someone there quite regularly for coffee, and we were there, it's a couple of years ago now, and there was this bloke in the corner, this old bloke surrounded by cameras in the corner by all the windows. And I didn't know, but the person I was with said, "Oh, that's him, that's Jerry." And somebody was interviewing him in the cafe.
Okay. Yeah, he's still a popular figure, I think, around the city as well, isn't he? And it will remain so. Yeah. So not a proper Scouser, but you got the accent, so that's the main thing.
Scouser.
And what about the family, footballing wise? Is it a red family or a blue family?
We're neither.
Neither.
We're complete outcasts.
Are you Tranmere fans, are you?
Well, I suppose if I had to pick, if I was loyal to local, it'd be Tranmere.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick, I don't really follow football. I'm not a football fan. We're not a football family.
Fair enough.
But if I did have to pick somebody, red or blue, it'd be blue. And I know that upsets a lot of people. But working in mental health, we've had a lot. I used to work with young people with psychosis.
Yeah.
And Everton Football Club have been absolutely amazing. Their Everton in the community programmes are just brilliant. So they do loads for the local community, loads for kids. We had our sort of late teenagers, early 20s, young people developing psychotic illnesses, pretty serious, and totally knocked them out of their social roles and at home having a horrific experience. And they did this league, a football league, and loads of them got involved in the football league and then trained them as coaches and stuff. So I'm afraid I have to be loyal to them. I'm sorry.
That's
Andrew.
okay. That's all right. Don't worry.
The wrong team.
I'm of an age where I grew up as a Liverpool fan because they were the top team, like they are again now, thankfully. But but I mean,
but that's just kind of like
my team.
Liking who's number one in the charts, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose so. So. At least my allegiances are with a great city like Liverpool. So
yeah.
So
and you lived here, didn't you?
Sorry.
You lived here.
No, I didn't. No, I very nearly lived here. I very nearly worked for the Metropolitan Council on the Wirral. Was it actually called Wirral Metropolitan Council?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wirral Borough Council. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I very nearly worked for them. It was when I was at university. My first year at university was horrendous, and I hated it. So I applied for a job. So that would be back in 1990, and I did actually get offered the job as well. It was a really boring role. It was some kind of accountancy role. But yeah, we could have been neighbours. Imagine that.
Oh, that would have been cool.
I don't know about that.
Didn't you
cool
go to
for
uni
me.
in Liverpool?
No. I mean, I've got strong connections because one of my best mates lives up there, and he was born in Liverpool, but he lived in Exeter for sort of 30 odd years or so, and he now lives up in Liverpool. But his dad. His dad's sadly no longer with us now, but he used to take me and my friend Joe, his son, to a lot of Liverpool games and that as well. So yeah, cool. I've got strong connections with the city and get up there whenever I can. And it's just a fabulous city. I mean, obviously my football allegiances I've spoken about, but also obviously the Beatles and everything in that as well. And it's just a great city and just lovely people like your good self. So
everyone here is so connected to the Beatles, and it's weird because you kind of it's intrinsic in you. If you live in this area, everybody has some kind of connection or story. My mum was a Beatles fan in the early days, and she worked in the Liver buildings as a secretary in the offices. And so went to the cavern on a lunch to watch the Beatles playing in the cavern. Her and she had a best mate called Hillary, and they used to go. so they had quite a personal connection with them, really. And my mum had loads of letters from John Lennon and photos and stuff.
Wow.
And she had loads and loads of stuff, signed things. And I remember having a look through them, and there was this like multiple choice letter that she'd sent, you know, like a quiz that she'd sent to John Lennon. And I just remember this one question, and she'd put, do you prefer, and she'd put blondes, brunettes, or redheads. Sounds dead sexist now, like, but you know, it was back then. And she put a little box for him to tick by all of them, and he wrote across it all of them in capital letters with exclamation marks.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't very politically correct, was he, John Lennon? So
no, not at all. But she had a ton of stuff. And then, like my colleague from work, from a team I used to work in, her dad was one of the, something to do with the cavern, quite renowned, and they put a plaque outside with his name on. I think it was something to do with, like, you know, running the door or something. And so everyone's connected. And my friend Mo, who's actually in the Pixies group, her dad was something to do with the cavern as well. So everybody's connected, and like Paul McCartney's niece was in my class at school and stuff.
Oh,
so
wow, okay.
Just like everybody, everybody knows somebody who's something to do with it, and most of our parents went the cavern on the lunch or whatever, you know.
My wife is coming in. My wife is coming in. Come and say hello. It's Jo Kirkham.
Jordan, hello. You're right.
Jordan
reminds me of that. What was that thing that used to be on? Was it the adventure game with that plant that talked?
Oh God, what was that? I've forgotten about that. Yeah.
Remember? And they used to have to cross squares, and it was like you went to like oblivion if you went on the wrong
weird
square.
TV program where they had like it's like an animated tree, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is that what my plant looks like? Is it?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Is that what my plant looks like?
Well, you've just reminded Jo Kirkham of it, so yeah, I guess it does look like that. Yeah.
Must do. I need to go water him. It's very dry.
Okay, nice to see you.
See you later.
A cup of tea would be nice, thank you.
Maybe.
Cheers.
You're lucky.
So so the Beatles, as you say, just run really strong through the city. But of course, we are here to talk about Pixies, and an important band to you. Where did it all begin?
I think they're just, again, it's a bit in your blood, isn't it? I feel like we are a bit of a tribe and a cult.
I've never been in a cult before.
Well, you're in one now. Move over, Moonies. This is much worse. I think probably like loads of Pixies fans, it sort of goes right back to being in school and sort of being a bit different. You know, that feeling of like, didn't quite get what everybody else was into, you're just a bit out there. And trying to fit in and not really fitting in and feeling a bit weird and odd. And then I think when I left school, I met a whole new set of mates in college, and some of them are in the Pixies group now. Like a really good friend, Kirsty, who's in the Pixies group, and Claire and Kath, they're all in the big group. And there was this little club in Birkenhead called Stairways. And I kind of knew that I was veering more towards indie music. It was probably like the about 1990-ish. I don't know, early 90s. But veering towards indie music, and that Stairways was just this mecca. If you went to Stairways, it was absolutely fantastic. And they had this indie night on a Thursday. And I met a mate who lived locally here called Will, and he did me a mixtape. And on this mixtape, you know, when everyone did little cassettes for each other, on this mixtape, it had Here Comes Your Man on it. And I remember going back to this song and thinking, this is just great. It's dead catchy. And I suppose in a way, it's a bit Beatlesy, isn't it? You know, like sort of like, you know, jingy guitars kind of thing.
Jingly, yeah.
And so, because Will was the only other cool person in my local area, because most people lived sort of more the other side of Wirral, whereas I lived the Wales side of Wirral. It's all very quiet here, and Will was just another odd fish in this area. And
do you know what it means? Do you know what it means though? If a man does you a mixtape, or used to do you a mixtape, it means that they fancied you.
No, he didn't. No, he was just a mate.
Nothing romantic.
He did mixtapes for everyone. Everybody did in those days.
Okay.
No, he still makes with. He's still my mate now as well. But I think then I said, this is great. So he did me another Pixies tape. So then I just became absolutely obsessed by them and bought albums and stuff. But unfortunately, it was after they'd broken up. So I loved them, but I was in this like sort of loving them but mourning that I couldn't see them and desperately wishing to get back together. And there's a big there used to be this big, really well-known club in Liverpool called the Crazy House as well, or the Cray. If you're around here. And that was this indie club over several floors, and I basically lived in there or stairways. So that was me haunt for a good few years in the early 90s, and it was really great. It's all alternative music. But it got to the stage where, because I asked for Pixies so much, I'd approach the DJ box like that, and the DJ go, Pixies, like that before I'd say it, and he got really annoyed. But he just sort of roll his eyes and just go like that when I walked up. So in the end, I'd just go like that, and he'd play Pixies for me. So I just got a bit fanatical, really. But he always played Debaser. So that was me big sort of, I don't know, I just loved that really, because now it's got this, I have this instinct to get up and jump around when it plays, because that's what happened so often back then.
I've heard this about you. I know you like to have a dance, don't you? I've heard that about you.
Who from?
Oh, well, I've got my contacts. You know that. But no, that's a good thing. I mean, they're not really known as being a dance band, are they, Pixies? So certainly, but it's great that they make you feel like that. So
I think when you feel it that much, you feel the music, you just want to move, don't you? You know? Yeah. Absolutely.
So and you've loved them ever since. So pretty much the same time as I got into them, about 89, 90 as well. So. Yeah, and are you able to pick a favourite out of all those brilliant tracks?
I don't know. It's still hard, isn't it?
It is hard.
I mean, I like them all for different reasons. A favourite Pixie song in the world ever. They're all associated. It depends what mood I'm in. Depends what day it is.
What mood are you in today? It's Friday. Coming up to the weekend.
I think maybe today I'm in a Bird Dream of the Olympus Mons mood.
Great choice.
Just nice and happy. I love the sunshine on a rusty morning. I mean, how can that not like cheer you up when you play it, you know?
Absolutely. It's time. I've written it down now, so no going back. That's your choice for today. Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you. And you went to the Manchester happening, didn't you, when a lot of the guys came over from America? And unfortunately I wasn't able to go, but a load of you all met up for the first time, and sounded like it was a pretty good time had by all.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. It was absolutely amazing. It was one of those situations where, cause I had actually met with Helen and Jules before that. We met up to see the Breeders, and then we arranged to meet, and then we've met up loads since now. You know, we have days out with our kids and stuff. And we've become really close friends. But that was one of those situations where you want to go, but there's that bit of your brain thinking, this is the stuff you watch on crime documentaries, and when the person's going, you're like, you stupid cow, how did you not think this was a really stupid thing to do? You know, who goes and meets all these strangers off the internet? And that was going through my head. But it helped that I'd met Helen and Jules, so I went with them, but we were all really, really nervous. And we went to this little pub in Manchester where we thought we were late, so everywhere we went, everyone had just left. So we got to this little pub in Manchester. We were having a drink, and Adam, I don't know whether you know about this bloody photo Adam sent us. Little shit.
Adam, what? Not Adam Henry Short?
Yes, Adam.
Is he behaving inappropriately? Adam. Is he behaving inappropriately?
He sent us this photo of this group of people like that round a table in a pub, which said, you know, the gang's all here.
Right.
And we were like, who are these people? We've got no idea. And we're like, do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? And he'd just taken like some photo of a load of randoms just to trick us.
Adam Short, hold your head in shame.
So then we went to, I think we kept being a pub behind, and we eventually got to the pub where everyone was. And it was just amazing. It was absolutely amazing meeting everyone. I just remember, because I think then, you know, myself, Helen, and Jules chatted to Adam and John a lot as well. So I think they were the ones we were really excited to meet, along with everybody else, you know. But everybody was just as lovely, if not lovelier, than the people that you see online. It just totally changed my concept of humanity and how nice people actually are.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely amazing. And I remember Mike Flynn as well. When Mike Flynn came in, everybody was waiting for him to arrive, and I think Sheila had stayed at the hotel because she was doing her hair or something.
Okay.
So he'd come to this pub,
Yeah.
and he came in, and the whole sort of all of us are saying, "Hey, there he is! There's Mike Flynn." And for me, I'd expected, because I think he's such a larger than life character, isn't he? And everybody knows him, and he's so, you know, you feel like you know him, don't you? Yeah. But I'd expected this like big sort of Texan mountain, like Desperate Dan or something. And actually he was a normal size, and that threw me.
Yeah, he certainly comes across as larger than life.
Yeah. But in terms of being a real human, he's actually a normal size of a normal man. He's not giant.
He's not the Incredible Hulk.
No. And we thought like he'd be sort of really, I mean, he did tame, and that was fantastic. And we sort of had this idea that the Americans will be more outgoing than the British people, but we didn't factor in what British people are like when they're drunk, and so the scales really tipped. And poor Americans were like that. Like Jim Steele was Steely. I was calling him Steele.
Yeah.
It was lovely. Like meeting him and Kelly was absolutely lovely, and
James, they're a fantastic really couple.
Nice. Yeah. But I mean, I think they were like, wow, these British people are a bit wild, like, because once everyone had a drink, we were a bit wild. Yeah,
we're known for being a bit sort of shy and retiring and a bit standoffish sometimes, aren't we? But get a drink inside us, and away we go.
Yeah.
So are you
like
going to... Sorry, carry on. You're all getting what?
We were all just dancing around like we were. Oh, it's just a brilliant night. It was absolutely amazing.
And now friends for life with a lot of these people, which is fantastic. Yeah. So show us your T-shirt that you got on. You got a special T-shirt on today for us.
Hey.
Pixies 86.
The one that I dropped curry on, but
okay.
I've put loads of stuff. It landed on one of the white letters.
Right.
But I used an Alco wipe, Alco gel, nail varnish remover, and I think the nail varnish remover got it off, as well as washing it about 4 times. But I got it out before, and I was like, yes, I can't tell where it was now.
So have you got a lot of Pixies T-shirts?
No, I didn't really have any until like recently. I think it was hard to get them in like the women's, you know, decent ones in the women's shape.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're short, if you get like the men's ones, they kind of look like you're wearing a nightie.
I know what you mean. I'm short as well, so I remember I've only ever had one, which was the Death to the Pixies one.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've ever had, which my parents just couldn't get their heads around. My mum was like, "Well, what's wrong with Pixies? Why do you want to have Death for Pixies?" Anyway, so I had to explain that to her. But the other one I had at the time, and you'll remember this, was the James T-shirts.
James.
Yeah, you remember those T-shirts which had the JA on the front and then M on the sleeve and then ES on the back. You know, the band James. Yeah, do you remember those?
You were really cool.
What can I say?
I probably would have talked to you.
And I had a fall T-shirt as well for a while, because I really love the fall as well.
Oh, I saw the fall.
Yeah, I've seen them many times, but yeah.
A little tiny gig in Liverpool, and the floor was moving.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
See what year it was, like.
Yeah.
Maybe about 93, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sadly, no longer with us now, Marquis Smith, but yeah, a great band nonetheless. So yeah, so you like your T-shirts now?
Yeah, and I've been really lucky because the group are just there's just such kind people. I had a bit of a nightmare getting the T-shirts from America, and I was like stupidly like, I'll get them for everybody, you know, the group tees, and ended up with like over £100 customs bill because they'd all been shipped to my house and stuff. So everyone was really nice and chipped in and helped out, and but that was a learning curve, that. And then the sizes, I think Americans are much skinnier than us because the t-shirts, the ladies' t-shirts, were all a bit snug on us.
Oh,
But
right.
so Helen, or I don't know how you say her, Helen with an E on. Helen
or Helene.
Yeah.
Helene.
Yeah. She was really kind and sent me one of the wave tees that she had that actually fits me. So I got that this week. That was lovely.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether to wear that today, but I've got the white Bossa Nova tee as well. I really like that one. You know, the spaceship on.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Got that one and the debaser one. And this is the only official Pixies t-shirt I've got, but I got that Pixies, you know, the nice hoodie with the cat on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean the only official? What are all the other ones? They're all knockoff, are they?
Yeah, they're all group knockoffs. Yeah.
I know what you Scousers are like for a knockoff.
Yeah. Flog a load on a stand.
Talking about how lovely people are. This arrived in the post for me this morning, and it's a bit of Pixies memorabilia, and certainly took me down memory lane. I think it's from Julian Rees-Thomas because I know he was at this gig, but it is a Pixies ticket from a gig that I went to, 1990, Great Hall in Exeter.
Oh my God!
And that just randomly turned up in the post for me this morning. And the reason I think it's Julian is, one, because I know he was there, although I didn't know him at the time. But also the postmark on the envelope as well signified that it's near to where I know he lives as well. So, Julian, if you're watching this, thank you, mate. That was really, really sweet of you to do that. And yeah, like you say, it just shows you the kind of acts of human kindness that we get from the Spirit, doesn't it?
Oh, that's well cool, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well, they all live on Cool Street as well. Julian, Adrian and Simon are all cool neighbours on Cool Street.
Oh, are they? What's Cool Street?
Yeah, it's where it's somewhere posh.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Not for you and me then. Well, you're posh.
No, not for the likes of us.
Posh part of Liverpool. But yeah, so this ticket is very nearly 30 years old. 16th of October, 1990. I remember
that's you were so lucky to go there then, weren't you?
I thought you were going to say I was so young. So.
Well, you must have been a child, baby.
Well, not quite.
How did they let you in?
Yeah, so I saw them for the first time in '89 at Glastonbury, and then the following year they came to Exeter on the Bossa Nova tour, and they were supported by a band called Bark Market from New York, but they're no longer in existence. They don't play anymore. I looked them up this morning on Wikipedia, but yeah, so they're not playing anymore. So how many Pixies gigs have you been to?
I'm really rubbish at keeping count.
That's
so
right.
I don't know how many.
Okay.
Around 5 or 6, I think.
So have they been to Liverpool before, or have you always had to travel to see them?
Well, mostly we used to get bands here years ago in the Royal Court, and then that kind of like fell off the radar. That was like in the 80s and that.
Yeah.
And then it became less so. Saw Big Country there quite a few times and saw the Wonders there.
Yeah.
But then they kind of stopped doing gigs there. And then it was really Manchester. Everyone didn't bother coming to Liverpool. They went to Manchester.
Yeah.
So I've mostly seen the Pixies in Manchester. The first gig I went to though was 2004 when they reunited, and I was just so happy because I remember those years of famine when they were apart, and just the mourning and the wishing to get back together, because they just remain my favourite band in the world ever. To the point where you get a bit kind of like a bit almost delusional, where you think that if anybody else has heard of them, they must be a brilliant person and you're going to connect on every level. And I remember seeing this lad with a Pixies t-shirt on and going, oh my God, you've got a Pixies t-shirt on. He looked at me like I was absolutely insane. One time I was in the car at this junction, and this little, like a little road sweeper kind of, like a little truck thing pulled up. The little ones, like one-man things with the big brushes on, that pulled up next to me. And the bloke in it was this bald fella, and he was blasting out. I can't remember what song it was now. It might have been Bone Machine. And he was like down on his steering wheel. And I put my window down, I was banging my horn, like, I was going, Pixies, out the window, and he's going, yeah, like this, we were like that at each other, and I was on cloud 9 for about 3 weeks because I'd met someone else who actually liked them.
Yeah.
Because it did seem so hard to find anyone who liked them as much as I did. And I remember what's his name, Zane Lowe, on one of his programs on MTV or whatever it was, and I think it was when Jane's Addiction had reformed, and they were very stylized and had this kind of really cool image and that.
Yeah.
And he sort of looked directly at the camera and he said, "Can I just say, Pixies, you don't have to do anything like that. Just get back together, please." And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, I hope they're listening." And I met this girl called Rachel when I was a student nurse, and she was a student nurse as well, and she was doing a secondment. Anyway, I met her in Liverpool in a hospital where we were both on placement as student nurses. And she liked the Pixies, so needless to say, we're still friends now. When I think then they reformed and they did a gig at the V Festival.
They did.
In Staffordshire.
Yeah.
And I heard about that, and I got in touch with Rachel. And I was like, "Do you want to go?" So we went with my poor friend Sue. Never heard of them, but she came anyway and had a great time. Just got drunk for the weekend. But when they came on stage then at V, after all those years of they'd just been my best band in the world, and really wishing to get back together. I was crying, and my friend Rachel was crying, and we were watching them. We were like, "Oh," like this, because we were just so overcome with emotion that we were actually seeing them in front of us. It was amazing.
Yeah, I saw them then as well, because the V Festival, they used to do one in Essex as well at the same time. So I saw them down in Chelmsford that year as well. So
yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. So you would have seen them. Was it either the day before or the day after? Because they swapped days, didn't they?
I can't remember.
Wow. Yeah.
I'd have to look it up on the internet.
I don't know whether Kim was like this in Essex, but I know in Staffordshire she was absolutely grinning her head off. She looked so happy to be there. She's quite smiley when she's on stage anyway. So she's like the whole time with a bass like this. And it was fantastic.
It was always that, the two of them with Charles and Kim, that's like Kim always seemed to be really, really enjoying it. And Charles was just like that. I'm here to do a job. I'm going to play the songs and no banter or anything like that. Whereas, you always sort of like felt like Kim was just trying to sort of hold her excitement in, really, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think because of that as well, I just felt like he was really kind of quite a closed person. And his music is kind of like, an impression of him, but in an abstract art way where you never really knew him. You know what I mean? But then I think when you get to Beneath the Eyrie, he absolutely bared his soul.
Yeah.
It shared so much of his own personal self with everybody in that, I felt.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'd spoken about when they split up, and obviously Charles went off on his solo career.
Yeah.
How do you feel about his solo career, and can you choose a track from his solo career that you particularly like?
Well, I love Teenager of the Year, but I absolutely, again, I love the whole album.
Yeah, it's a great album.
I mean, it's just one that you could never ever get bored of. It's just so good, and I can't. I suppose again, it's like you get a different favourite per day. I think I'm quite a energetic person.
Really, I hadn't noticed.
I probably like them all kind of. I like things with a bit of oomph, and they sort of get to you. So I suppose I really like the Vanishing Spies, because then I can belt that out dead loud.
Yeah, great song.
You know what I mean? The bit where he says, give me a blip or whatever it is. I'm rubbish at lyrics as well. That I totally flip. I absolutely scream that out. I love it. It just gets to you, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Anyone else in the house Pixies fans? Or was it just you?
Yeah, my husband and my son as well, my eldest son.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 children, and my daughter is just the absolute opposite of me. She's like, "Why are you like this, mother?" She was born really sensible. She's really organised, really sensible. She's like, "How did I even survive in this environment?" So she's not really a Pixies fan, because she's probably a lot more sensible and less out there than I am, I suppose. But my eldest son is a bit more a mini me, really.
Right.
A
So
bit
is your husband
bonkers.
the sensible one then, is he, amongst the pair of you?
He's very sensible, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the calm to my storm. So he's actually quite introverted, very
Okay.
introverted.
Uh-huh.
And he often will say, I just need some quiet.
Good luck with finding that in your house then.
I know. So he'll kind of quite often go to the bedroom to play guitar, just to sort of, he
Right.
has to have headspace,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know, I understand, we're very different, but then we just get on, weirdly.
Yeah, well, they say opposites attract, don't they? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we were first sort of going out with each other, it's a bit old-fashioned term, that, isn't it? Especially when you've previously been in relationships and
so
married
I,
and had
I,
children.
I understand you.
Yeah.
You and I are of a similar age,
Yeah.
so I know what
Yeah.
you mean.
So when we were going out with each other,
Yeah.
we were in that sort of, when it's all like, oh, you're the moon and stars, and
Yeah.
we did each other some music tapes, and not tapes, I suppose. Then it was CDs, I don't know, playlists or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did him on one of mine. I put "Hey" on it for him, like love songs. Still getting very cheesy and personal, this, isn't it? But I put "Hey" on his, and he said to me at the time, he said to his friends, this is someone who put a Pixies song. She put a Pixies song on a love album, and I think we connected like that. So we've seen the Pixies together quite a bit. But
Okay.
he's very shy, and I think he was a bit like, about the whole group thing and all that. He's far less outgoing than me.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. So, a favourite album by the band?
It was dead hard, isn't it?
Again, depends which day of the week it is.
Yeah, and what mood I'm in. I always sort of saw them as levels of punkiness, really, and like something that you graduate through. And so I think I started off with Doolittle. So Doolittle's got to be, it's got a lot of sentimental value, Doolittle, and I just love it. And I think it's great as an album. But then I feel like sort of Pilgrim and Surf Rosa were kind of like a next step. Trompe is like the full on sort of punky. Gets more punky in my mind. And bossa nova, and I know loads of people will hate this because there seems to be a massive bossa nova movement, but I always felt that was a bit more poppy.
Okay. Yeah.
A bit less like sort of punky and shouty. And maybe I was drawn a bit more to the punky and shouty.
You just like having a good shout.
Well, I really like the loud, quiet, loud. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think it strikes a chord, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the soft vocals of either Paz or Kim combined with the screams of Charles, just like, they just work, don't they?
Absolutely. So I'm with you there. So we're going to go for Doolittle, are we, as your favourite album?
Yeah.
So what did you think about Beneath the Eyrie? Because to me, that is quite different, really, to the rest of their stuff.
It is different, but I loved it, and I feel like it sort of helped us all connect a bit more with the band, really. It felt a lot more personal. And I know when we all met and went to the Manchester gig, I think when Charles, it all became a lot more personal. We felt more connected around that time anyway, because we were able to go to the signing first and meet them, which was just absolutely phenomenal. And I think before that, or was it around that time as well, I think some of us had got the email or the message from Sean with the link to the demos as well. And God, when I got that, I felt so like honoured and privileged, and like I was in this special secret inner circle. I was absolutely made up. And I know, Jules felt the same. Like we were just like, oh my God, amazing. I can't remember the question.
It's about Beneath the Eyrie.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah. So yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Daniel Boone just makes me cry. He's absolutely beautiful. I liked Saint Nazaire, or however you say it.
Saint Nazaire, yeah.
But it did make me laugh because I'm rubbish with the lyrics, and I remember trying to sing it. I did a little video for Jules and Helen, and sent it to them when I was trying to sing it and didn't know the words, and I was sort of walking around the house singing it to myself, and I was like, "Sun is there, and I fucking swear," because I couldn't remember the words.
Well, that's probably close enough.
Yeah, it was something like that, isn't it?
Something like that. It's close enough.
But I know when
friends.
he did Bird of Prey on stage as well. Obviously, we'd met them for the signing thing.
Yeah.
And when he did Bird of Prey, when they did Bird of Prey, Charles got quite emotional singing it. And I think both, again, I think it was Jules and I and Helen, we actually, all of us, we got quite emotional watching it as well, and quite tearful. And I'm sure a lot of other people did as well. There was just a different personal connection that we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And I think we expected at the signing as well. You haven't got a word in edgeways here, have you? Stop talking.
That's fine by me. You're one of the best interviewees that anyone could ask for. You just ask them a question and away they go. You're following in the fine. You're following in the fine tradition of Pixie, who obviously started it off, and Kate Hester as well. So you're doing a great job. It's all women, the ones that are the easiest ones to interview, because you just ask them a question and away you go, which is fantastic.
Oh good, okay.
But carry on.
Stop me if you know if I'm going on. But,
no, it's fine. I got plenty of time.
Good. So at the signing, we had such a laugh then as well, waiting in the queue. We were all so like bursting with excitement, and there was me, Jules, Helen, Genevieve, Peter Norris, Adele, but we were messing around loads in the queue, and James as well, and we were messing around sort of, and we were thinking, you know, in the record shop everyone's like really serious waiting to see them, and we were like bursting out laughing and causing chaos. And at one point they were behind this kind of little stand of I don't think it was CDs, it was something else, because it was in the basement of a music shop in Manchester. And so we started like pogoing, trying to see their heads over the top. I remember looking, and Joey looking over, and he must have seen these heads flying up over this partition like that, the hair flying everywhere, you know, trying to have a look at them. And then we decided to go as a group and see them, because you could go in one by one, and they took photos and that. And we decided we go as the girls, you know. So there was myself, Helen, Jules, and I think Genevieve came with us, but I'm not sure whether she went with James or not. But Peter had gone first, and he was at the end. But we just had a laugh, and I expected David to be really chatty. I also expected that we'd have a bit longer, but it was quite rushed. Okay. And I thought we'd give them things and they'd sign them, but they sort of signed and passed along, and you collected them at the end. Okay. But actually, the most sort of chatty one really was Charles. He was really, really nice.
Yeah.
And I think I'd expected him to be really cool and maybe feel like we were an imposition, even though they were doing it, you know. And that sounds a bit unfair, maybe, but he was lovely. He was so nice and smiley and friendly, and they were all lovely. Yeah. Kaz was just super cool and gorgeous. Like, just really seeing your smile, and she's so pretty. And I think as well, I probably, because I was going along saying, "Oh, hi, my name's Joe. I'm really happy to meet you." And I said it to Joey. I said, "My name's Joe. I'm really pleased to meet you." And he just laughed at me, and he probably thought I was a bit of a weirdo. And David was lovely, but I felt like I couldn't get to talk to David as much because he was on the end, and you know, you kind of that was an amazing experience. So cool. So on like clouds.
What did you get signed? What did you get signed then?
Beneath the Eerie CD.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we all went to a pub before the gig after the signing. We were all like really, really happy. And some of the people in the group, they don't have they can be quite personal with it, with, you know, the profile, so they don't have their own picture on the profile picture or whatever. And Shirley Ann was going to meet us in the pub, and she was sending me all these messages, "Oh, I'm coming now, where are you?" and all that. And I was saying to Jules and everybody was going, Shirley's coming. I've talked to her, but I've got no idea what she looks like. So I was dead worried about offending her by not knowing it was her when she came in. But then I did know her, and I got to talk to her, and she's absolutely lovely. Her and her partner, husband are absolutely lovely people. Really nice. Yeah, so met even more people then.
I had a similar experience last year at Adele's wedding. We went down to Adele's wedding in Norfolk, and Genevieve was there as well. And I think up until then, she hadn't actually had a photo on her profile picture, or it was quite not an older photo. But anyway, I really didn't recognise her, and I was like, sorry, I don't know who you are. So obviously, as soon as she said her name and that, it all sort of fell into place. But yeah, it is, like you say, it is a bit strange sometimes when you do meet people in these sort of circumstances that you've only spoken to them online and that, and then suddenly you sort of get to meet them in a totally different context to how you sort of know them, isn't it? So yeah.
And Adele was fantastic, really funny and lovely. And she was, I'd met her at the first Hey Pixies Manchester meetup. But I don't think I'd spend much time with her then, because there was so many people, and there was Michelle, lovely Michelle from South Africa.
Yeah.
Zeus.
Yeah.
And she's just hilarious as well. Dead nice. Everybody is just so nice. But at the gig after the signing, I somehow managed to be in between Adele and Simon, and I felt really bad because but I was squashed against the railing, and they at one point they were leaning over, holding hands in front of me, and I was like, "Oh God, this is lovely!" Like drawing a little heart in the air. That's sweet.
But no, you're right. It's a lovely group, and we're I think we're lucky to be a part of it, aren't we? So yeah. And looking forward to getting back to going to live concerts and that, I guess. Is it a big part of your life, even if it's not Pixies? Do you go to a lot of other gigs?
I don't really. I mean, we did go through a phase of trying to, but it got quite difficult trying to get babysitters as well, because I mean, now the children are a little bit older, it's a bit easier. So now my youngest is he's 12 and he's nearly 13, and my daughter will babysit sometimes because she's in her 20s now. So it's kind of a bit easier, but I do have responsibilities, so it's not always. I don't go out as much as but I'm a bit worried actually, because my youngest is 13. I'm thinking, God, once he gets to 16, I'm going to have like a bit of one of those, a crisis, and I'll be off sort of all over the world, doing all sorts of stuff. It's a real possibility. He's reined me in. Well, my children have kept me sort of, contained.
Kept you contained, have they? Right. Yeah. Okay. So we're coming towards the end, but I have just got one more question for you. And I put a message out to some of the members of the group for some questions, and you might have seen this question. I've been asking it of other people. So you're having one of those awful dreams where suddenly you've been put on a stage naked in front of a huge crowd, and they're all waiting for you to sing a song. Which Pixies song are you going to sing? Now, I can't say which member of the group it was that asked me, and they've got a mind of a sewer. They really have. But that's the question for you, Joe Kirkham. What's the answer?
That's so not fair.
Why is that?
Because you're turning the tables on me.
Everyone thought it was Jules Crowley, so, you were doing so well up until then, but you've just given yourself away.
I hadn't thought of it about me, really. I just wanted to embarrass Adam.
I can't even remember what Adam said now, but anyway.
He said the shortest one, I think.
Oh no, he did, didn't he? I liked Lee's answer the other day. It was an instrumental. I forget which one it was now, but
that's a really good answer.
Yeah, but he had a skateboard to cover his modesty, though. So, but you don't have that. Cool. You don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
And you do like to sing as well.
I do like to sing all the time.
Yeah. So there you are. Stood up there in front of thousands of people.
I wouldn't choose one of the songs that I like to jump up and down to.
Right. Okay.
Because wouldn't go well at all. I think maybe hay, and I could sort of stand modestly, you know, and sort of cover my parts. But maybe hay, but speeded up. You know, a bit like a Chipmunks version.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. On that lovely image, we will leave it there. Jo, it's been a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, it's been great. Thank you. You're one of the bright members of the group that keeps everyone's spirits high and keep us all going along in these difficult times. And you certainly bring a smile to my face on a regular basis with your postings and such
Oh,
such
that's
like.
lovely.
And I can't wait to get to actually finally meet you at some stage. So
No,
next time you go down to that bloody awful Cornwall, you've got to stop off in Devon, okay? I insist.
I have tried to hunt you down in Exeter services. I've been walking around like peering in cars like that. Is he in there? Every time I've been.
So next time you come down to St Ives, we definitely got to meet up at some point, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Lovely.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been great speaking to you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Me.
All right, you take care. Bye.
Okay. How'd you stop it?
Just press end.